Okay. See, I can see Jean because she's talking. Okay, well,
I can't go online.
I can't go live now, so it's too late.
I believe we're live now.
We're going live now.
Okay, go ahead, start the meeting.
Okay, conservation meeting, April 28, 2021. In accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, pursuant of executive order 2020-04, the Conservation Commission will utilize the emergency meeting provision of RSA 91-A to conduct the meeting through electronic means while preserving to extent feasibility the public's right to notice and to observe and listen contemplatively on the evening of the meeting. You can listen contemplatively on the telephone by calling 603-766-56-46. Once you have called, you will need to enter the participant's code 7856455 #. Please make sure you enter the # after the number to participate. If you're having difficulties calling in to the number to participate, please call 603-488-6783 for assistance.
And I want you to know Amy's on the phone.
Roll call at this time, and whether you have somebody in the room with you. So, and roll call. Andrew.
Andrew Chaplin, present.
Okay, David.
Present, and no one is in the room with me.
Okay, Susan.
Present, nobody's in the room.
Okay, Chuck. Chuck.
Yep, just a dog and I again.
Okay. Did you? Amy's on.
Yep, Amy.
Amy.
Yes, yes, present, and no one's in the room with me.
Okay, and Jean, and no one's in the room with me. Okay, public hearing for the conservation and the open space easement on map 7, lot 91A. In accordance with the RSA 36-4:5, the Goffstown Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing to receive public comment pertaining to extending the conservation funds for purchase and administrative costs associated with the conveyance of a 36.745 conservation easement deed on map 7, lot 91A, located on Nook Road, to the Piscataqua Land Conservancy. The easement will conserve land, protect the Gorham Brook turbidity and associate wetlands, and buffer drainage and wetland connection Snook Road swamp, both designed as primary wetland. David, do you have presentation or?
Yes, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can share content, assuming I have the permission for it.
Yeah, you can. Anyone can present. I put spotlight you so you do it.
Yes, you can.
Okay, and let me know if you can see the content.
Yep.
Yes. Yes, we can. I can.
Okay. So this project is.
David, we also have a copy.
Yeah, I know you have a copy, but
okay.
I also noticed that the third page, you have the wrong copy because you don't have the budget on the end.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
And,
go ahead.
Okay. So this project is a conservation easement on lot 7-91A, which is owned by Kenneth and Gail Burns. It's located on Snook Road in Goffstown. It's I guess it's back here somewhere.
Muted.
If others can mute. Anybody who doesn't need to speak at the moment, would they please mute? Okay, it's a 37-acre easement. It is adjacent to an existing 213 acres of contiguous conservation land. This land is, these projects have been set up primarily to protect the wetland complexes in this area. I'm sorry, can everybody who's not speaking please mute, because we keep getting this feedback?
I don't know who's,
Okay, let's try it. Continue.
All right, Susan and Jean, you need to hit your microphone and mute.
mute my mic.
Okay, Jean's muted now. All right, this 32-acre easement adds to an existing 213 acres of continuous conservation land south of Snook Road. This is an area of really rich wildlife habitat and a lot of complex wetland interconnections, including 2 designated prime wetlands. For this particular project, one of the prime wetlands is located on the property. It's the Gorham Brook tributary prime wetland. Scroll down here. And that's located at the western edge of the property. This project is also serving as a buffer to all the wetland complexes that were protected in the previous Fullerton-Mahoney easement, which is to the south of it. This graph that you're currently looking at, the water resources map, it's complex, has a lot of different colors and all that, but it's all different classifications of wetlands, which not particularly important for this hearing, but this map was prepared for the grant application we submitted to DES. It does show you, however, there's a lot going on, especially to the south here. And so we've now added a great buffer from the north to all those wetlands previously contained in the conservation land. In addition to that, there's 1,625 feet of a stream that runs down through the center of the property and feeds into all these wetland complexes. For all these reasons, this scored very high with DES, and we were awarded a grant of $73,000 to pay for approximately half of the project from DES's Aquatic Resource Mitigation Fund. Then the remaining amount of cost for the project is a match to that grant from the Goffstown Land Use Change Tax Conservation Fund. And let me just scroll on down and show you the budget. So on the side of expenses, the purchase price of the easement is $118,400. And then the expenses include the $1,200 for an appraisal, $1,597 for a wetland assessment, $4,500 for the survey, $6,300 for the stewardship fee, which will cover the perpetual stewardship by the Piscataquag Land Conservancy. Then there's also a baseline data report for $1,450. An environmental assessment was done for $725. Legal and title work fees come to $3,000. And then the recording fee is estimated to be $200. And then finally, there's a project management fee, which is kind of inclusive for all the work done at PLC to prepare a lot of this stuff for $9,425. Keep in mind that all these different things like wetland assessments and baseline data reports, there's a bit more work than we normally have to do on projects, but when you're applying for an ARM grant, these are all items that need to be included in the grant application. So that brings the total expenses to $146,797. And then out of that, we're receiving on the revenue side $73,000 from the ARM grant that was awarded, which leaves us with $73,797 to come out of our luck conservation fund. Now, when I will make a motion in a few minutes to release funds, and when I do that, I will pad that amount by a little bit, which we always customarily do in case there's any last minute unexpected developments that we have to pay for. And so we'll add a couple thousand to that total and just make the statement that, you know, we vote to release the amount up to, but not to exceed that amount. This project also did very well because it scored very high in both the Merrimack Conservation Plan. The property within it was ranked as their higher scoring focus area, and for the areas they choose, that's actually at the top. And in the New Hampshire Wildlife Action Plan, the area down around the prime wetland was ranked as Tier 1, which is their highest tier, and the rest of the property ranked as Tier 2, their second highest tier. So it scored very well all around with everybody looking at it and considering it. Are there any questions at this time about the project or the budget?
So if anyone has questions, you'll have to unmute yourself to speak.
David, this is Chuck. Is the fee a set percentage of the purchase price or what?
Which fee are you referring to, Chuck? The
project management fee.
The project management fee, it's not necessarily a fixed amount of the percentage, but it's based on the amount of work that they have to put into it. Which for an ARM grant application is actually quite extensive. A lot more paperwork that goes on. And the stewardship fee, I don't know if you all recall previous projects a couple years ago. I mean, we had been paying routinely $10,000 on the stewardship fee. You go back farther in time, it was $3,000 and so on. Part of that came about because as all the land trusts became accredited by the Land Trust Alliance standards, most land trusts were found to be coming up short on their maintenance of funds set aside for stewardship. And so that became like a national thing. They were criticized not only by the Land Trust Alliance accreditation, but also the IRS. So they set about increasing the stewardship fee, and for a while there it was running around $10,000 because they were trying to catch up and build it up. And now they're starting to slowly reduce it based on the size and complexity of the project. And so now we're starting to see slightly lower numbers than we had before, which is good for us.
Are there any other questions, David? If not, David, do you want to make a motion then?
Yeah, if everyone's ready for that, then I'll read off a motion. I move in accordance with RSA 36-A:5 that we vote to approve the release of an amount up to but not to exceed $76,000 from the Goffstown Land Use Change Tax Conservation Fund to contribute to the purchase and administrative expenses of a conservation easement on 36.745 acres of MAP 7, Lot 91A. The easement will be held by the Piscataquag Land Conservancy, and release of the funds is subject to the easement containing an executory interest granted to the town of Goffstown.
Do we have a second on that? I'll second it.
And you'll need to do a roll call vote.
David?
Yes.
Susan? Susan?
You'll need to unmute, hit your microphone.
Chuck?
Yes.
Okay, Andrew?
Yes.
Okay, back to Susan.
And you have Amy too.
Yeah, Amy?
Yes from Amy.
Okay, Susan? She hasn't got her mic.
She might have actually,
We've got
she's still on, but
Oh, there you are. I'm back. I don't know what happened.
Susan?
Yes, I'm back.
Okay. Yes, okay. Anyone oppose? Okay. Good. Carries. We all set on that vote? Everyone has
Yep.
voted? Yeah. Okay. David, thank you for all that work also. Okay, let's go on to the next item, and that is the open space update on Gisby conservation easement and project on map 7, lot 88 and 88B.
Okay, and I'll continue controlling the content.
yep.
A similar document for that. So, in this document, first of all, you're seeing a map of the area, and it's showing both the burns, which we just voted on, to the west, and then to the east of that, the 2 parcels belonging to the Gibneys. I do apologize a little bit on the Burns one. The area carved out, exempted from the easement, is shown on that one. For the Gibneys, I didn't have that shape file yet to carve out where their house is in the exempted area, but there is on the parcel on the left-hand side up by the road, there is part of that is carved out. Basically, the story here is very much the same as what we just voted on. It's the same series of wetland complexes that we're trying to protect. And with this easement, we will have, if move forward on this, we will have pretty much completed that effort across the whole northern edge of this target area. The Gibney property comes right down and actually goes into the Snook Road Swamp prime wetland. I'll just indicate that with the cursor here.
We're not seeing the screen, David.
For that,
Oh, I never stopped sharing. Did you see it for the last one?
yes, we did, but not from this one.
It's frozen at the budget.
You might be sharing a tab too.
The budget from the Burns is what's showing right now. Half of
Okay.
that and half of the other. Half of,
Okay, sorry about that. Let's get that fixed. Huh.
it's not moving.
Yeah, my Teams display is a little. Let's see if I can get back to the right thing here. All right, I'm going to click on stop sharing
Okay.
and then launch it again. Didn't seem to have done anything when I clicked on it.
Oop, there you go.
That's it.
Oh, only had to do the same action 3 times. There you go. Okay, so now you can see the map, and you can see how it shows the burns on the left side. the Gibney properties on the right. The Gibney property comes down all the way to and into Snook Road Swamp, a prime wetland that we previously protected most of the area around it with the Shost easement, which is all the green area down below. So now we're trying to complete the protection across this whole northern swath of the target area. And by doing the Gibney easement, that will complete that. It's in addition to protecting the prime wetland, this property is really kind of loaded with vernal pools. It's quite good habitat. Again, it's south of Snook Road, has a lot of more area abutting Snook Road than the Burns property does. It has the same sort of rankings, has the exact same ranking in the Merrimack Conservation Plan as a higher scoring focus area, and it's Tier 2 in the New Hampshire Wildlife Action Plan. Many of the same qualities and properties that we're protecting in the Burns, so that's not much different. Of the two lots, there's this lot that's on the right-hand side. That's lot 7-88. And that lot is kind of a mix of dry ground and areas that are interspersed with wetlands, and within the wetlands, a lot of dry hummocks, and has the only real potential for development. The land that runs behind the Gibney's home, which is up on the other lot near the road, but everything going down to the wetlands is a real mix of same sort of mix of wetlands and hummocks, and has a lot of the vernal pools. When this was first, let me scroll down here a little bit. This gives a little bit more detail on that property. So when this was first appraised, the value came back from the appraisal that came back was quite surprising, because the appraiser had assumed that this dry ground area up by the road could be a lot, but it can't be. I pushed back on that. We went out and did a site walk, and literally went out with a tape to measure. And for example, at the widest area from the edge of the wetlands up to the street, it's only 135 feet. Well, you got a 100-foot setback for wetlands and a 35-foot setback for the road. That doesn't leave much space for a house lot. So this was then removed from the appraisal, leaving this one area of 2.3 acres that could be a feasible house lot. So after all that, the result of it was that the appraisal price for the easement purchase came out at $90,000. And then the rest of the budget, which some of it's fixed, some of it estimated, but you have the stewardship legal of $7,050, the project management fee, $4,000, baseline data report and environmental report, those are also in there. The appraisal, survey, title work, and everything. So we come out to a total budget of $112,443. The big difference on this one is we don't have the grant. It's a property that could have qualified probably for an ARM grant for the same reasons, but we couldn't really put in 2 ARM grant applications at the same time and compete against ourselves. So, it made sense to submit the more expensive project. So at this point, I mean, the work is complete, and we could move this project forward to completion. And that's really what I'm here to discuss with the rest of you, and see if we can have a vote to do that. Please, any questions, comments?
Any questions at this time? Anyone? Any comments? Anyone have any? Do I hear someone?
I think
Susan Tucker.
Yes, Susan, go ahead.
My comment is we should go forward with this and vote it tonight.
Okay, so the process would be then that we have a vote to move forward. And if that vote passes, then I would start the scheduling of the required public hearings with the select board, and also schedule our public hearing to pay for it for our next conservation meeting in May. So
Do we have a motion for moving this forward? Susan, did you make a motion?
Yes, I said we should do it, so I will make a motion to move this project forward at this time.
Okay, do we have a second on that?
I second it, Amy.
Okay, all those in favor by roll call, Andrew? Chuck?
Yeah, I vote in favor.
Okay, Chuck? Chuck?
Yes.
Okay, David?
yes,
Amy?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Jean? Yes. Do I have anyone opposed? Okay, this carries, and David, you will move this forward?
yeah, I'll coordinate with everyone, with Patty and Derek and select board. First thing I'll do is get on the select board agenda to present the project and ask them to move forward, and
Okay.
with scheduling, and then we can schedule our hearing for next May
Okay,
meeting.
okay.
Just one point, at our last Conservation Commission meeting, we did do a vote to recommend to the selectmen that they move forward on the Burns project, even though we were requesting it in the first place. I assume that went through to them okay. I never heard anybody comment on it. The planning board presented it to the planning board, and they unanimously recommended the selectmen proceed with the Burns. Since those public hearings have already started, I just, as far as I know, we don't need to vote again on that, but.
Are we all set on that, Patty?
Yes, I did send an email to Derek that it did go, that you voted to push it forward.
Okay.
And now we'll get this motion to for the spending the money on it.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Patty. The only reason I wasn't sure was because
Okay.
the planning board was explicitly mentioned in the select board hearing, and whereas ours wasn't. But
Oh.
that's cool.
I can resend it tomorrow if there's any question, but I did send it after the conservation meeting. And I actually think I put a copy in, yeah, it's in your correspondence. No, that's the other. It did go with them.
Okay.
I'm sure it did. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you. We had also a discussion on stewardship of the open space land, and in our packet, we did have, I think, the Piscataqua Land Conservancy, their stewardship inspection reports. I think Susan sent those over. Did we want to look these over and do one similar to this, or we have any comments on setting up a inspection report for our stewardship?
I had a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Did you guys need to like have a workshop, maybe like a workshop about the whole thing, and just come up with how you want to do this?
And just use this as a guide, yes.
Is that something, I mean, I lean towards David and the open space committee, because I have no idea. So I didn't know if that's what would
Yeah.
help to do, like a
Workshop.
workshop.
And then come up,
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. If we do a workshop, then is a workshop an official meeting?
right.
Or it depends
I
on
mean,
how
you
many of
still
us are there.
take minutes, but it's very, I mean, they'll still broadcast it, I believe, because you are together as a whole, but you are working together on, it's more as, not as formal. It
Exactly.
might
Right.
be good when you can meet in person.
Yeah. Okay, so
So you can go over plans and so forth, maybe.
David, you want to set up a meeting on that? And
Well, that's I want to make sure I do it right. So we do.
We talk
It-
about it.
Yes, if it should be a posted and all that stuff, and
yeah,
posted as
Right,
a
right,
special
right, yeah.
meeting or something like that.
so when we
I
get to
mean-
that,
We could wait until it's in-person meetings, but I really don't see that as an advantage. And the reason is, if you're looking over a document, let's say we're looking over a spreadsheet of here's all our properties, and we're looking over a document on what a report might look like, we don't all want to be crammed around one computer staring at the document. It's actually easier with these remote meetings to be able to bring it up on screen where everybody can see it on their own device. So
Versus the PowerPoint.
in some cases, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, the PowerPoint works as well.
So-
But I think we can achieve the same thing
Okay.
remotely. So who knows, when we'll be going back to that.
so we could set a meeting up just for the workshop online.
We could. The form that was sent to everybody, right? The form that Susan
Yeah.
got, PLC. I mean, it looks fine to me. I don't see any issues with it. One thing, though, that I think would be extremely useful is not to just do it on paper, because it's not as easy to share. It has to be scanned, recorded, and all that. What we could use are the PDF documents that you can fill in. Is everybody familiar with those? Probably used them at some point in the past. So you get a PDF and you can click on any field and type in your entry. And if all you need is the free Adobe Acrobat Reader, you don't need to buy any software to do it. If you don't already have Reader installed, you can just download it for free and put it on. And the advantage to that is you now have an electronic document that's easy to pass around, easier to store, easier to share, and can be queried and searched if in the future we want to do such a thing to compile records of is the changes in time for this property or scan for when was the last date. It's easier to get it into a database format if we should go down that road in the future. But if it's all on paper, then it's not as convenient and not quite as good. So that would be one comment I'd like to make at this time, is that we try to have it in some sort of an electronic form.
Okay.
Should we still spend some time going over this, either at a workshop or this got,
Or you want to just do at a regular meeting?
yeah. Well, I don't know, just to do this, maybe. Do you think, or do you think you just can go over this now and figure? David, you said this looked good to you just the way it is?
Well, we could look at it right now and
Pretty
see if
quick.
anybody has any particular comments in any area. Excuse me for just 1 second.
Susan, you've used this document, correct? Susan?
Yes.
You've
This is
used
a
this
document
document?
we use this in the field along with some maps. It always comes with maps, and I've got some other information.
Right, so is there anything on this that when you are using it that feel that could be changed or different for us?
No, I think it's pretty thorough, and you have places to put in your observations. If there's not a question that you want to write in some observations, you can do that. But I think it's a pretty basic,
Okay,
easy to read, easy to use, understandable. And
Well,
when we do a walk, we fill this in. And I'm sure the PLC puts it in the computer. They
they transfer it into something.
transfer it for us, yeah. I think this is but anyway.
So,
And so
would it
they'll-
be okay to use their document as ours?
well, we would change it. We would obviously change the title.
Right, yeah,
Right.
I mean, we could look over it carefully, and if there's anything that is very particular to a land trust that
we
might
could,
need to change for the town.
right.
So, but Susan, I assume when you're done with it, then you either mail it in or deliver it to the office.
Exactly, because it comes with a whole folder. And in that folder are all the previous papers, so you can see if there's changes, maps, a sign-in sheet that who did the walk, when it was done. There's other information within this folder. So we take the folder, we get one of these, we fill this out, put it back in the folder, and it stays as folder. So maybe they don't put it into a computer base of some kind. So, and that's, this
Well,
is
I know that in the past they didn't, but it's been quite a few years since I was involved with that.
right. I'm not sure, but I know we get a folder, and we can look back on our last report, the year before, several years, and the original document that came with the easement is included there, so you can read that and see what the requirements are, what the what the rules are, so you know what you're dealing with if you see something.
And how large is the folder typically that you get? How many pages?
I'm gonna say maybe 20 pages, 25, depending on the original document that came with the easement. Now that could be several pages. That could be 5 or 6 pages. They fill out all the information about the land, what they see, and all that stuff. So it can be large.
Jean?
Yes, Patty.
So at the town hall, we could take these documents, scan them in, save them electronically into a map and lot folder, because the properties are all by map and lot. So
Yeah.
it's saved electronically, and I can also do it as paper copy as part of the planning files.
So that somebody could have it in, they take, yeah.
Now that I've been a part of helping with this committee, when I get stuff, the easements, I create a map and lot folder, so it's filed in the planning files.
That sounds really good. So if we looked at this, and of course we have to change the name, but I was wondering, is it, I know we're going to change the name. Is it okay to use their most of their document for our stewardship? Is that legal?
Well,
I mean,
I'm sure that would not be a problem.
okay,
Everybody derives what they should be doing from the Land Trust Alliance.
Okay.
And so we're not going to use the same form. I mean, you've got all these PLC references all over the place. None of those will be there. So we'd change it up a little bit, but it's basically the basic,
just a little bit,
basic
yeah.
idea, the basic data.
Yeah.
But again, if we did this in terms of being a fillable PDF, then the person could be emailed, here's your blank form, here's information about the project that you're about to inspect, and then all you'd have to do is fill in the fillable form and email it back. You wouldn't have to mail it, you don't have to deliver it. Then when it's received in the town side, Patty, you wouldn't have to scan it, it's already in electronic form. If you want a paper copy, just print it. I think it would just simplify things a lot if we went that route.
And one of the forms Sue sent was fillable. One of them, she sent them in both the Word doc and a fillable form.
Okay.
Oh, from PLC?
Yep,
Oh, so they've already advanced for that.
they're
level.
already doing that.
Good. That's good.
Okay. So where do we want to go from here? We want to just kind of touch this form up a little bit and get it ready for our type of stewardship.
We can certainly edit it and so that it's for the town rather than the PLC.
Right.
Those will be obvious changes. But if everybody would look over it closely and just see what they think, see if every field makes sense to them or if there's other things I think we should include.
Right. Either do it at the next, bring in the comments for the next meeting, or should we send them in before that?
I think we could do what we just described, editing the document for the town and everybody looking at it closely and discuss it again in our next meeting.
Next meeting. Put the
And then,
things that
and then we could
okay.
decide whether we need to have a workshop or not.
Okay, that sounds like a good idea. Okay, so we're all set on the stewardship. We have corrections and acceptance of the minutes in the non-public meeting. I don't think we had a non-public.
No, that's a typo.
Yeah, but the acceptance of the minutes, we had an addition or a change.
From Sue.
I did.
Yes, go ahead, Susan.
Do you want me,
Susan,
am I unmuted? I am.
you are.
Yes, you are.
Okay, this is on page 11, and it is almost to the bottom of the page. Starts with Susan Tucker. Look at that. I will read the corrected form. I thought it was a little confusing and not quite accurate. So I kind of fixed it up. So Susan Tucker said she has several volunteers who have made New Horizon maps for the top of the Uncanunic Mountain. They are metal and engraved. They will go on metal posts that are waist high. And I go on to say the signs are courtesy of the Brian Hansen family with updated design by Mike, and I can't pronounce his name. I wrote it down. Hollandell.
Yep.
20. Map details were extracted from the Forest Fire Lookout Station Horizon Map, Mount Uncanunic Mountain, 1914. The map was developed by Kevin Feeney with the cooperation of the Goffstown Conservation Commission. There are 3, each in a different location. That's the correction, and I had sent that in. Are there any comments on that?
Any other comments for the minutes? Okay, we need a motion with the corrections to be passed. Susan, you want to make a motion?
I'll make the motion to correct those minutes.
To accept the minutes with the correction.
Yeah, as read.
That's read. Okay, we have a second on that?
A second.
Okay, in favor, Andrew? Andrew?
Yes, in favor.
David?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Amy?
Abstain.
Jean, yes. Any opposed? Okay, it's passed. And we didn't have any non-public. Okay, and I think yes, David.
Well, I had a conversation about the property on Montalona Road, the subdivision proposal that we looked at before for the 4 or 5 lots along the road with the conservation land, with the behind it abutting the Waldvogel tract. So I received a call, but this time from a different person, not the developer who presented to us. So this other person, it's not clear to me if maybe one bought the property and the other is doing the development or what the relationship is. I don't know. But we called to follow up on, we had said, well, we would be interested in potentially working with them depending on what they were doing. And so then this question was, well, what do you want? And, I said, well, there's 3 possible ways two possible ways this could go. One would be you develop just 4 lots and then potentially see if we're interested in acquiring the 5th lot and its attachment to the 25 acres behind, which would be a total of 27 acres with a significant frontage on the road where there could be a parking lot. That's one possibility. Another possibility was if you were going the route of developing 5 lots, but keeping the 25 acres of backland out of that, and we were to acquire that, the only frontage we'd have with the road is a walking path in up at the top there where the ledge comes out to the road. That's a second possibility. And then I was asked, would you be interested in a third possibility, which is acquiring all of it, no development, which took me by surprise. And I said, well, perhaps, but we don't have any firm prices or anything. When it was listed on the market, it seemed like it was a bit high. The question was then phrased, well, what would you pay? And my answer was, well, what we generally do is we get an independent third-party appraisal, because when we're doing a project, we don't want to waste tax dollars by overpaying for something, and at the same time, we want to be fair to the individual selling it, so we rely on a third-party appraisal. And the last thing said was, well, I'll give it some thought. And that's all I know at this point. But since that was discussed openly in the meeting before as a potential something that potentially might be acquired for conservation, I felt it was appropriate to share publicly the ongoing conversation.
Thank you for keeping us updated. We have any other comments? We do have a request to be appointed to the Conservation Commission for Amy to be a regular member and Evelyn to be an alternate. So do we have a motion to accept those members?
Jean was
Pat,
Amy, but was that Andrew?
If Evelyn becomes an alternate, then you can appoint Andrew as
Andrew
a
as,
voting member.
so Andrew, would you want to be a full member?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, so can we do all that voting?
I'll make a motion.
Yes,
I'll make a motion that we appoint Amy as a regular member, Evelyn as an alternate, and Andrew as a regular member.
okay.
And that's a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen, because they actually.
Right.
And we need a second on that?
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor, Susan,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Jean, yes. Any opposed? Okay. Okay, we want to make that recommendation, and I believe we have one, Patty, did you have one other item?
Just the plan review to make a recommendation to the planning board, if you have comments, even if you don't have any comments, for a proposed 2-lot subdivision on Pershing Street, which is on map 16, lot 28. As part of technical review, we send the subdivisions before Conservation Commission to make any comments they may have. And they're going to be before the planning board on May 13th.
Okay.
And I sent you all the plans, so you all saw that. And it's, they did receive a variance for the one lot will be undersized. I believe just one, because if it's serviced by sewer and water, they only need 10,000 square feet. And they also got a variance for the frontage.
Okay, did anyone see any issues of concern? Anyone have any comments on the subdivision?
I don't think there were any issues of environmental concern.
No. So do you want to make a motion on that? To send on to the planning board recommendation? No issues of concern?
No issues of environmental concern.
Okay, do we have a second on that?
Andrew, I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor, Chuck,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Jean, yes. Any opposed? Okay, that's carried, and it will be sent on to the planning. Okay,
And
Yes.
for procedural clarification, Andrew was the voting alternate member tonight where we didn't have
that's,
Evelyn.
Evelyn was, yeah, we had.
Okay.
Okay, any other? I don't believe we have any other issues or concerns. Does anyone? Okay. Anyone? So I guess a meeting.
I'll move to adjourn. Susan?
Okay, we have a second on that? A second for adjourning?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, Andrew,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Jean, yes, opposed? Okay, so our meeting is adjourned, and thank everyone.